sequencing. There are various methods in Excel where we can create number sequencing. When you work on a large number of set of data, then it'll be very tricky to work on the number sequence. Sometimes you delete one of the rows and sometimes you add. So if the number sequence is not dynamic, you're going to have this problem every time. I'll run you through 5 easy methods to create number sequence, and the last method is going to solve most of your problems. If you like this video, please do share with your friends, and also don't forget to subscribe. And if you know any of these techniques, let me know which one is the best. Let's look at the first method. It's an easy traditional method where we used to type 1 and then 2, and then what you need to do is double select those two and then double click here, and you'll get the number sequence for the entire sheet. You can see 9994 is the last row where the number sequence has been applied. Now there are a lot of issues with this method where if you delete or add, then the number sequence will not be applied automatically, which means that you need to apply again by selecting it and double click, and you can see the number sequence has been applied. Now it has regularized the numbers. You can see it become 9993. Let's look at the other method. Second method is to apply through series. For that, you need to select the first cell, type 1, then after that select the same cell, go to fill, select here, click series, then from here select the column, then type the last row number, which is 9994. Click OK. You can see the number sequence has been automatically applied over here. Again, as I told you before, similar to the previous method, the problem with this method is if you delete, it cannot be automatically applied, which means you'll always have this issue of errors. So let's look at the third method. To create the sequence using a formula, we use a formula called sequence. E is equal to sequence, and after that, how many numbers of rows which you have, you need to type over here. If you have 9994 number of rows, you just simply type it, close the bracket, and then click enter. Now you can see entire row got a number sequence. Now this is all dynamic, which means that if I delete one row, then automatically the number sequence will be applied. If I add also, the number sequence will be automatically applied. But the problem is if you add another line, so if you add another line, which means here, then the number sequence will not be applied over here because the number of rows which you have selected is 9994. Want to change the numbers? What you need to do is simply go to the first cell and then make it, instead of 9994, you want to make it 9995, and then click enter. Then it will be automatically applied. Now you can see the 9995 has been applied over here, and for the new set of data. Here is the fourth method where we can create the number sequence. For this, I'm using a formula called rows is equal to type row, close the bracket. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to minus the number of row before to this cell. So here there is only one row before, which means that I'm going to reduce it by 1. So if I enter, I'm going to get 1. So if I have 2 rows before that, then I'm going to reduce it by or minus it by 2. So if I do it like -2, since there is no row before, so it's going to give me an answer called 0. So how many numbers of rows you have above, you need to minus it by that number. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click over here, and it is going to apply the remaining cells, which means that I'll get the numbering sequence automatically updated. This is dynamic, which means that if I delete any one of the rows, and it will be automatically applied. Now the importance of this formula, this method is, if I have another rows which has been, the data has been populated in another row, I just need to simply drag from here, then it's going to automatically apply the number sequence. That's very useful method. And I'm going to build another method where if you add any of the information in the next row, and the number sequence is going to get automatically updated. Let's look at the final method. Let's look at the final method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this table into a table format by selecting Control A, then Control T. Then since I have the headers for my table, I'll click OK. So the table has been converted into a table format. Now I'm going to do the same formula which we applied in the previous method, which is equal to row, open the bracket, close the bracket, -1, and click enter. So now you can see instead I'm just dragging and dropping, the table has automatically applied the number sequence in the remaining cells. You can see all the way to 9993. So the interesting part about this table format is if I'm going to add another entry, which is maybe this, -12, if I click enter, you can see the number format or the number sequence has been automatically applied. That's very helpful if you're handling multiple data, and the interesting part is dynamic. If you delete or add any of the rows, the system is going to pick up the exact number and it's going to apply automatically. And if you want to add any row, and then which means that system going to pick up the next number and it's going to apply here. I hope this video is useful. Let me know in comment which method you like the most. Thank you so much for watching. Let's see you in the other video.